Sup dudes, this is Rainbows with Game 4 of the Gosu Cup Finals between LucifroN and HayprO. HayprO is Blue Zerg in the southernmost starting position on Scrap Station. And we do see the players complaining about the addition of 5 billion observers to their games. I don't know if you guys have ever played spectated games where there's like 15 spectators, but Battle.net does not handle it very well. And there's just a billion observers. But this is the finals of some nice tournament, and so a bunch of people wanted in on the action, and we can see that both players are getting kind of antsy towards the observers, and some of them are leaving. LucifroN is Yellow Terran at the uppermost position. This is Game 4, best of 5. If you haven't watched the rest of the games, if you haven't watched Games 1, 2, and 3, then I'm about to spoil the crap out of them for you. LucifroN is up 2-1 just because he's been going Hellion Marauder, and HayprO has honestly been doing really not that good of a job reacting. Game 2, he did a very good job of defending on Blistering Sands, and he's able to get mutas up in time, and LucifroN wasn't able to get Thors up in time to deal with the mutas, really. So with some very nice Thor, even with some very nice Thor micro, HayprO was able to be better with his mutas and take out the Thor, so LucifroN essentially had no anti-air, and he was like, you know what, I'm just going to move in with all of my forces and just charge straight into the opponent's base. So he did so, but mutas were just hitting that Marauder Hellion force. There's no anti-air in that. So mutas were just doing a whole bunch of damage to that all the way to HayprO's base, and HayprO, of course, had a Spine Crawler and plenty of lings up in time to defend it. So that was game. HayprO has also essentially been playing the same build. He's just been getting a very early expansion. We can see that right now he's going for 14 hatch, 13 pool. We will see a pool on 13. We will not see pool on 13. He is actually playing even more economically favored than usual. LucifroN is just now getting up a barracks though, so he's going to be relatively safe. And LucifroN is actually not going to go for a tech lab. He's going to go for a marine before that tech lab, just to force out that overload. We might actually see some switch from LucifroN. LucifroN is getting very early second gas. He's been doing that all the time, just so that you can get out those Reapers and those Marauders and get out a factory and get out some Hellions. And as soon as he gets Hellions, he has been taking 2 Thors. So I'd really like to see both players just mix it up a little bit. We do see a pool coming in for, I probably actually missed that, and he started building that like before the hatchery. A pool going in for HayprO. I almost want to rewind just so that I can be like, oh my god, there's a pool going down here, guys, but I am manly enough that I am going to live with my mistakes and not do that. LucifroN is walling off. There's a really big ramp on this map on Scrap Station. Scrap Station is a little bit interesting just because the air distance between the bases is so short, and there's an island base right here, right in between the bases. But the ground distance is really long until you kill these destructible rocks, and these destructible rocks have a bunch of health, but if you get a couple of Marauders or an Immortal, you can really shorten this push distance. The first push is really about the same distance, probably actually longer, just because you have to wait around while those rocks die than it would be just moving around, but subsequent pushes are much shorter, so if you want to play a very aggressive game, you can go and knock those out. You've also got a gold equidistant from the 2 players, really far away from the mains right here, and you've got these 2 semi-islands right here that are protected by rocks, and I just love to see Terran lift a command center off and take the semi-island very early, just because it's so hard for Zerg to deal with that, or any opponent really to deal with that, just because you have to take down the rocks before you can assault that base with ground units. And if you get a couple of turrets off, it's relatively easy to hold off Mutalisks. We do see actually that tech lab going down in this first factory, so a very different build from LucifroN, and he's actually just going to get Infernal Pre-Igniter, so he's actually going to go straight for Hellions. This is going to be a very similar build, but he does have a tech lab, and I don't believe he's actually gotten that upgrade. We would have seen the Hellions with the blue flames, because this is a recent patch. We're actually seeing roaches coming out for HayprO. HayprO is doing a very good job of scouting with that Overlord, and he knows that his opponent does have that tech lab, and his opponent is actually getting another factory. He knows that LucifroN is getting a second factory. I should say LucifroN instead of his opponent. And so he knows that LucifroN is just going to go for Hellions, because of this really high factory count. He knows that LucifroN can't really sustain building a whole bunch of tanks, so he should get roaches out just to deal with these Hellions and just to deal with that pre-igniter upgrade. Actually, and I'm going to pop on over to the tab, there's actually only 3 Zerglings up for HayprO, and these 3 Zerglings are going to have a bunch of trouble dealing with his first couple Hellions if LucifroN just blitzes them over, just because Hellions are pretty fast, and these roaches are probably going to pop just a little bit after those Zerglings and a couple of drones die. I take the back, roaches are coming up. I have a terrible sense of timing. This is why I am commentating these tournaments. I'm not playing in them. HayprO's Overlord is actually still alive despite that Marine chewing on it. That Marine, the purpose of that Marine was probably just so that LucifroN could go ahead and get up this pre-igniter upgrade and get up this double factory setup and deal with all of these lings without his opponent, without HayprO knowing. HayprO does have 6 roaches on the way, and they are going to pop, and he does have plenty of roaches to hold his main against these Hellions. these Hellions are just going to come straight in, but they're going to take a whole bunch of damage, and coming around, trying to get a little bit of damage on these drones. Some very, very nice Hellion positioning, and we can see that awesome pre-ignited graphic. But these roaches are going to be able to force these Hellions off before the Hellions do too much damage. Hellions wandering around. Roaches are not the slowest thing in the world on creep, even without the upgrade. More Hellions coming in for LucifroN. He's just going to reinforce straight into his opponent's face, and they're trying to do a little bit of damage to these Zerglings and these roaches that are following. But some very nice roach positioning by HayprO, just forcing LucifroN's Hellions to not go straight in. I'm actually going to pop back over onto LucifroN's base. LucifroN is continuing to pop out Hellions, which is an interesting choice, and he's not going for an expansion. He does not have a second command center going up yet. He has been favoring getting really early second command center, but right now he's just relying on this economic rest to try to do a whole bunch of damage. These Hellions are going down without really doing that much damage to drones, though. Even with pre-igniter, they're just being forced out of position by these roaches. Roaches do a decent amount of damage to Hellions, and they take very little damage. Hellions have 80 HP, 90 HP, roaches do 17 damage a shot, so you guys can do the math. That's, what is that, 60 is 4, so 6 roach shots to kill a Hellion. There's plenty of roaches here, so these Hellions do go down very fast, and we can see that HayprO is microing these drones around very well and keeping them alive very well against these Hellion pressure. This last Hellion is going to get into his main and be able to do a little bit of damage to these drones. HayprO is not bothering actually to pull drones against a single Hellion. Hellions do a bunch of damage to light units, especially with a pre-igniter upgrade. We can see that it's 8 plus 16 versus light, so it's 24 damage. Drones have 40 HP, so Hellions are able to two-shot drones, and they do that line damage. HayprO is going in for a lair. This lair is a little bit delayed just because he's been forced to pump roaches to deal with those Hellions. And we can see that he's got a very nice line of roaches guarding that entrance against Hellions. So these Hellions are going to have a heck of a time pushing in. It does look like LucifroN is going to back off and throw down a bunch of barracks and stop producing so many Hellions, I would hope. And he does have a barracks coming up. I would love to see an expansion for him. He's got enough money, and he really needs to get that down in the near future. Evo Chamber coming down for HayprO, so HayprO is going to be able to get upgrades, he's going to be able to get anti-air, and we do see this command center going down for LucifroN, but I'm not really sure how safe that command center is. I mean, as much as I've been saying, oh my gosh, he needs to expand, I would really have preferred to have seen him build the command center up in his main where it's protected, because these roaches are just going to be able to pick it off. Even with these Hellions coming around, these Hellions are going to be able to be picked off by the 6 roaches building in HayprO's base as we speak, without doing too much damage. HayprO is just actually going to go in and knock out these new destructible rocks. These are a very nice addition to the map because they enable your expansion to be a lot safer. Your main is really, it feels very unsafe just because this ramp is so wide and because the air distance is so short. So just having a little bit safer of an expansion prevents everybody from going like, oh my gosh, I need to win on the first push and I need to set up a really strong first push. Which I kind of feel wasn't happening an amazingly overbearing amount, but it was certainly happening. We could actually see that LucifroN is floating 900 gas. It's down to 800 right now. He's able to